Thank you for the introduction. Welcome everyone to this wonderful event. I want to congratulate all the inductees, all the society board members, the president Gabby Thomas, and the primary lead advisor Heather Weaver for all their hard work and dedication. I'm here to introduce our keynote speaker, Carol Hatton-Holmes. She is the president of the image consulting and career coaching firm, Positive Presence. Carol received her Bachelor of Arts in Education from Penn State University and also pursued additional business training at Villanova University. Her career includes 25 years of experience in corporate sales and marketing. Additionally, she also spent time as a human resources professional and a special education teacher working with autistic children. Carol is on the advisory board and is a group leader for the Professional Women's Business Network, in addition to several other memberships in professional networking groups and associations in the area. As president of A Positive Presence, she offers career success programs, campus to career workshops, and group event engagements similar to this one tonight. She is a relationship builder, an image specialist, a career consultant, and last but not least, an inspirational leader. So please join me in welcoming Carol Hatton-Holmes.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you all for coming tonight to this great ceremony for the induction of these young adults into the National Society of Leadership and Success. I was really honored when Mark asked me to be here, and then I went on the website for the society and I got really excited because I read what the mission statement was and what Gary Truax is the founder has said, and I just wanted to read part of what you have up here, but one of the things that he says is we are dream supporters. We build leaders and support people in achieving their dreams and better the world in the process. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, can you imagine if everyone out there was pursuing their dreams and doing something that they love to do? Then we could change the answer to the question, how do you like your job? From 80% dissatisfaction to 80% I love my job. How many people do you talk to that you say, how do you like your job? And they go, sorry. Wouldn't it be great if all of these people go out into the world and they love their jobs? They're doing what they dreamed of doing. The other thing was that in the second sentence of the mission statement for this organization was what I really got excited. Because Gary encourages people to ask the question, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Well, interestingly, a really good friend of mine had written an article 3 months ago in a local paper. And the article was called, What Would You Do If You Knew You Couldn't Fail? So I brought the article home, and we had a house full of people that day, and I read the article, and we started talking about that subject. And I said, I'd be a motivational speaker, somewhere on the caliber of Tony Robbins. My husband said he would climb Mount Everest. My daughter said she would own a clothing boutique in New York City. Well, there was a young man that was there that was a friend of my son's, and he wanted to get in on the conversation. So let me give you a little bit of background on this young man. He goes to college, he's a criminal justice major, and he wants to be a police officer. His answer to the question, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail, was rob a bank. I said, what? Really? And he said, yeah. And I said, why would you say that? He said, well, then I would have money and I could be rich, I wouldn't have to work. I said, okay. But what that spoke to me about was the inconsistency in the person of who wants to be a criminal justice police officer, abiding and controlling the law, and then there's someone who wants to rob a bank who doesn't want to abide by the law. So who is this person? So as being a leader, one of the characteristics of being a leader is being authentic and being consistent. And that's going to get people to know, like, and trust you. If you can be authentic and consistent, those are keys. And you have to know where you're going. You have to know who you are. Because if you don't define who you are, someone else is going to define that for you. Because you might say, oh, I want to do this, and somebody's going to go, why do you think you can do that? You can't do that. You're not smart enough for that. You don't have the experience for that. So if you don't define who you are, someone else is going to define that for you. So I have a couple quotes here that I thought were appropriate for tonight. One of them is from Pitbull. I don't know if everybody knows who Pitbull is, but Pitbull was he was the host for the American Music Awards. And I heard him on NPR the other day. And I actually loved this quote of his. He says, if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. Think about that. If you don't know what you'll stand for, you'll fall for anything. And then I had another quote that I thought was appropriate. It was from the Harvard Business Review. There was an article in February of 2007, and it was called Discovering Your Authentic Leadership. And it said, people trust you when you are genuine and authentic, not a replica of someone else. So, again, you need to be really clear on what you want and where you want to go. I knew years ago that I wanted to be a motivational speaker, but my career path didn't take that direction. I was a special ed teacher for a couple of years. I've been in the business world, the corporate world, for 25 plus years in sales, and as you heard Mark say, many other roles. And I got laid off 3 times in 11 years, starting in 2000. And I said, you know, I'm not going to let anybody else make that decision for me again. And so the last time I got laid off, I decided I was going to start my own business. And I can tell you, it's not been easy, it's been tough. But I knew what I wanted to do. And I knew what my dream was. And I knew what my talents were. My talents were going out and sharing with you and with my clients my knowledge and helping them get to where they wanted to be. So, I have this story, and every time I tell this story, my daughter's like, oh, Mom, you're not going to tell the brownie story again, are you? And I say, yes, I am going to tell the brownie story again, because I like the brownie story. I work with a coach named Vivienne Fredrickson, and she equates brownies to talents. And so her story goes like this. You are in the kitchen, and you're making brownies. And the smell, the chocolate smell is going all through the house, and it smells fabulous. And somebody comes into the kitchen and says, what are you doing? You say, I'm baking brownies. And they say, wow, it smells great. They walk back in the other room with the anticipation that they're probably going to get one of those brownies. However, you have a different idea. So you take those brownies out of the oven, you let them cool, you cut them up and you pile them up on that plate, you go and you sit in the corner and eat those brownies all by yourself. Not only are you going to gain about 600 pounds, but you have been greedy. You have not shared your brownies with all those people out there that have been smelling those brownies for the last half hour or had visions of eating them. You held your brownies. You didn't share them. And it's the same thing with your talents. If you don't share your talents with the world, then you are being greedy, because you all have something to offer. You have something that's unique and different that people need to know. And at some point, when you get out of school and you graduate and you have a job, someone is going to need what you have. You are a unique individual. So one of the things that you need to do is establish a brand, a personal brand. I know everybody, that's a big buzzword now. What does that mean? Well, think about what branding is. Branding is a marketing term. Branding is, if you think of Target, what do you think of when you think of Target? The bullseye, right? Red, the bullseye. What do you think of when you think of Walmart? And that's all right. But that's what you want people to think about you. You want people to know who you are. You want them to know what your brand is. And the only way that you can do that is to know who you are. So ask yourself, how do you feel about yourself? If you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be? And if you asked your friends how they would describe you in one word, what would it be? And would they be the same? Would they be consistent? So, are you being authentic and consistent in your life? Because if your friend says something different than you, then you might want to take a really hard look at who you are. But what makes up your brand? A brand, a personal brand, has so many elements to it that people don't think about today. It's your appearance. How do you look? How do you dress? Do you dress appropriately? Do you dress for your body type? How do you dress? What's your appearance? How do you talk? How do you communicate with people? How do you, what's your body language say? So if I stand like this, my body language is saying, I'm not interested in being here. So what does your body language say? What's your online presence say? That's a huge one. Because that's something that people, it's part of your brand. So not only is it your physical appearance, it's how you communicate, it's how you write. What do your emails look like? Are your emails in text speech? Or are they in proper English? What does that look like? It's all part of your personal brand. And you really need to establish your personal brand as you go out into the world. There also is something that people have an emotion when they think about you, or when they see you. You ever see somebody and you go, oh wow, there's Susie, yay, it's great. And then you go, oh, there's Susie, I don't want to see her. So there's an emotion that's evoked about you when they see you, and that's all part of your brand. So establishing that brand is really, really important. So, in closing, I want you to think about, what are your dreams? What are your talents? What are your passions? And think about if you could be in a job that you loved and you followed your dream, how much happier the rest of your life would be. If you could know what your values are, it could also help you to decide what kind of job you wanted. And what I mean by that is if you've established the fact that you want to be a healthy person and you believe in health, and you get a job offer from a cigarette company, it's your dream job. Oh my gosh, it's my dream job, but it's working for a cigarette company. Somebody in your family just died from side effects of cancer from smoking, and you contribute to the American Cancer Society. Even though it's your dream job, do you want to do that? It goes against your values. It's not part of who you are, who your brand is. So that's something you really need to think about. And as you go out into the world and you go for interviews, or you go for co-ops or job interviews, think about what you post, what's out there online. Because 95% of recruiters are looking online. And you may not think that's important, but it is. So when you're posting something on Facebook, think about what it is you're putting out there. Because that becomes part of your brand. So again, I encourage you to think about that. And I want to say congratulations to all of you. And I will be around afterwards if you'd like to speak with me. But I want to end with a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's from Henry Ford. And Henry Ford says, if you say you can, or you say you can't, you're right. So, again, I want to thank you, and I want you to remember to share